Hi, I'm Lance Lambert. Thanks for tuning into the Vintage Vehicle Show. We are in Puyallup, Washington at the Harnish Lincoln Mercury Annual Car Show. This is a great show, about 500 cars here today. The people are great, the cars are great, the music are great, and we hope you enjoy it, but there's a secret to this. These things just don't fall together. Somebody's got to be behind it. Well, a fine gentleman standing here, Mr. Larry Hanson. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing good, Lance. Thank you.
You betcha. Larry is the guy that's responsible for running this show, along with Chris Brown that owns the dealership. Good turnout today, good cross-section of cars. You got customs and hot rods and traditional rods and few motorcycles. What a great combination.
Yeah, there's a lot of good cars up here. We got people here from Oregon today and from all over the area.
My understanding is that you produce about, 25 shows a year?
Well, I think this year we're doing 20 or 21 I'm doing, and we do about 45 rod runs. We have a rod run every Friday night and rod run every Saturday night, and then the shows on Saturday and some Sundays.
Does your family ever see you?
No, my wife's pretty cool about it. After 45 years, she puts up with it.
Well, if it's like my wife, sometimes she encourages me to go to a car show.
Yeah, she doesn't mind at all. I'm glad she doesn't.
Well, we hope you enjoy Larry's efforts today and Chris Brown's efforts, so do what I tell you to do every week. Just kick back, relax, and enjoy the show. We are standing here next to two very dignified things. Mr. Willie SPANN, Willie, and your beautiful 1948 Continental. Tell us a little bit about it, and especially talk about what's underneath that hood.
Well, it's a 1948 Lincoln Continental. It was made about 2 weeks before they stopped production. They made 874 of them. It's powered by a V12, 75-degree V shape, 125 horsepower, 3-speed on the tree with overdrive. Runs good, sounds good.
This is so much different than anything else that the Ford company was making in 1948. How did they come up with this?
Well, before Ford bought out Lincoln, a guy named Lindow discovered the Lincolns back in a long time ago. And when they went out of business after the war, hard times, Ford bought out the Lincoln Company. That's when it became Lincoln and Ford, or Ford and Lincoln. But Lincoln designed this car for his son, Atzo, one of his sons, way back in the 40s. And then Ford took over.
The V12 underneath that hood is pretty exciting, a little bit threatening, but if that was such a great idea, how come Ford products aren't running around with V12s in them now?
Well, the idea was to make the engine smoother. Linda used to work for Ford, Henry Ford, and he told Henry Ford to make the dimensions tighter fit, and Ford said it was too expensive. So Linda went off on his own, and he's made up the engine with close tolerance, where it runs real smooth. Because it has 12 cylinders with the firing order the way it is, it idles real smooth. It doesn't rock, So it was a good idea.
This is a little bit unusual to see this at basically a rod and custom show here, though you're at Harnish Lincoln Mercury. That's pretty appropriate.
Well, I enjoy showing the car every weekend. Everywhere I can go, I'll take it within reason. I enjoy looking at other cars, talking to people about the car, and I'm real proud of this car, so that's why I do this.
This is a very dignified car, really nice car. Do you feel do you feel like you're driving an old car and enjoying it, or do you feel like you're driving something very special?
Very special old car, real good. It's very few people get a chance to drive anything like this or ride in one nowadays, so I enjoy every minute of it.
So hanging around with all these greasy hot rodders, that's not bad?
Not bad, I love it. I used to be that way one time. I had a couple hot rods in today.
Well, it's not too late to drop a 350 Chev in this.
Never. I'd rather push it than put a Chevy in.
Willie, on that, thank you very much. Beautiful
much.
car. Thanks for being on the Vintage Vehicle Show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Dave Craig, you have been a guest on the Vintage Vehicle Show before. You had a beautiful blue car, and it was from the Ford company, but it wasn't like this. You have a just amazing 51 Merc here. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, thank you. This particular Merc was built by a guy named Dick Page here in Tacoma. It was started on in the early 80s, and I've known Dick for like 40 years, and he was building it for Denny Hall, and it sat in his garage after the body work was done for probably 20 years before I finally got Denny to sell it to me. And I bought it from Denny, and then I brought it back, pulled the body off the frame, did all the suspension, disc brakes, dropped spindles in the front, all the framework on it. And when Dick did the body originally, the top was chopped, the B-pillars were tilted forward, the hood was pancaked or cut from windshield post to windshield post, and about 1.5 inches was taken out of the hood to take some of the bubble out of it. And then the front headlights were pulled out 2.5 inches, dropped 2 inches, and Dick hand formed all of the front end sheet metal. And the grill on it is a Chrysler, 56 Chrysler floating grill. And Dick also hand-made the fender skirts, and he pulled the back fenders out 3.5 inches at the bottom, and he hand-made the taillight openings, which utilize a 49 to 51 Ford, but instead of running horizontally, they go vertical. And Dick did all of that on the car in his, basically a 2-car shop at his house.
Dave, this interview is with you, but since you bring Dick's name up, that guy, you know, when I was a little boy, I heard about Dick Page. He was the god in the Northwest, and he's respected throughout the country for his abilities. How is it that that you get to spend some time with him?
Well, actually, Dick went to high school with my stepbrother way back when, and I met Dick through my stepbrother. And like I said, I've known Dick for probably 40 plus years, and this is the last car he did. And when I started on the car, my idea was that I wanted to do a tribute car, not only to Dick, but to probably 3 people that I really admire in this business that are around the Northwest for a long time, and that's Dick Page doing the custom body work, Bob Jasper doing the interior, and he's been doing it for years and years, and Bob Davidson. I haven't made it to Bob to get the pinstriping done yet because the car is still in progress. I haven't got the side trim on it or anything, but I think we're going to actually call this car the last page.
Well, I got to hang out with Dick Page several times recently. I was over at his house about a week ago. Bob Davidson's pinstriping hangs in my wall, and Bob Jasper upholstered my 48 Chev back in 1962. I'm almost as old as you.
Well, then you're like dirt, because that's about how old I feel sometimes early in the morning. But
what's the power plant on this? What motivates it?
It's a 289. That's been stroked out to 347, and that was done by Bud's Machine out in Lakewood, Washington. Okay. And the transmission is a C4. The rear end on it is original 51 Mercury. And the front suspension I ordered from Jamco Engineering in California, and it consisted of drop spindles, and they do a conversion that converts it over from kingpins to ball joints. So it rides pretty decent.
Jim Cooper, I love 32 Fords. Everybody loves 32 Fords. It's the icon of the hot rod hobby since, I think, 1933 probably. Yours is very unique. You have a bunch of cool design things about it, but the whole Tacoma thing to it is pretty cool. Tell us about that.
Well, actually, they are all old Tacoma things. The Tacoma Speed Center was Walt Austin's first enterprise that he did during the 50s. And then the TTA, Tacoma Timing Association, the first drag racing association, they used to run the drag races at Shelton Airport, also in the early 50s and then later into the early 60s. And the camshaft is a design that I've always enjoyed and loved. Yeah, I just thought it was pretty unique. And I tried to make this kind of a period correct car with the tractor tires and the cross cuts in the back. Kind of works, I think. At least that's the the impression I'm getting from people that have been talking about it.
Did you build this car? Did you have it done? And whatever the answer is, was this where you were going, or did this just evolve?
No, this is where I was going. I bought a car, this car actually in Sacramento, but I just bought it for parts. Got it cheap, but I needed all the parts that were there. And then we changed the front end. It had a tube axle with coilovers. We put an I-beam in it. And again, trying to get it back to the period correctness of a late 50s hot rod.
So the real traditional look is what you're going for.
That's what I was trying to achieve, yeah.
The running gear on this, tell us about it.
Small block Chevrolet 350. It's got a 350 automatic behind it and an 8-inch in the back.
Pretty traditional.
Pretty traditional.
Jim BRIX, you are known for having some pretty classy cars. I think you have reached the epitome here with your 56 Continental. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a unique automobile. They made about 2,800 of them, 444 in 1957. They're all hand-built. They made 30 a week. And about the interesting thing is after they had finished putting the car together, then each individual car got its own road test, and then they brought the car back into the factory, tore the engines down to make sure that all of them had seated properly. They were the most expensive car that you could buy in the United States at that time. The same price as a Rolls Royce. They were $10,000. And initially they had made a list of those who they wanted to buy the car. And finally they found out, well, maybe we better sell it to anybody that's got $10,000. And I think the statistics are that they lost $1,000 on every car that they sold. But it's a great car, and I love it. My wife loves it, and we enjoy the car quite a bit.
I have a hunch that original list didn't include my parents or grandparents.
Might have. Elvis Presley was one of them, and Rockefeller, and Frank Sinatra, and Prince Rainier, I think, was one of them too. So they had quite a prestigious clientele initially.
What's the power plant on this?
It's a 368 cubic inch Y block that generates 300 horsepower.
You know what the coolest thing about that engine is?
No, what?
Valve covers.
Yeah, they are cool.
Paul Kelly, back when I was 19 years old, I had a green and white 56 Ford wagon, but somehow it didn't look as nice as this one. Tell us about this car.
This is a pretty nice car. We found this on auction on eBay just over a year ago and decided to go after it. We bought it before it sold on the eBay for a pretty good price. It had the paint job on it, and pretty much have done the rest of the work on the car ever since. Just new engine, new drivetrain, new wheels, tires, chrome, new dash gauges, but hasn't been that hard of a project from start to finish.
Sort of kind of stock paint, but not. You have pearlescent on where it was normally white before. What color is that?
Yeah, it's a gold pearl. It's on top of colonial white, which was stock to the car, and then it's got Ford mint on the bottom.
Great combination, good looking wheels on it. You don't see many ranch wagons around. You see lots of Nomads around, but not many ranch wagons. And I don't want this to get out, but I like these better than Nomads.
Really?
Yeah.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'm definitely a Ford guy and love this car. And you're right. We went out to look for the car actually and came up with the wagon and fell in love with it. And this one belongs to my wife Lori, and she really enjoys driving it.
Powertrain on it?
Yeah, she's a 351 Windsor into a C6 and a Dana with 371s in the back. It gets up and rolls pretty quickly on the highway.
Future of the hobby as far as wagons, do you think they're going to keep growing in popularity, or is this a short-lived thing? What do you think?
I think that they're going to continue to go up. This car is going up in price fantastically. I'd say in the last just 3 or 4 years, these cars have doubled in price. And I see a trend with them in traditional building like this.
Mike HORKEY, it's a 46 Ford, but holy cow, I now don't mean any insult, but it's starting to look like a Volkswagen. What do you got going on here?
Well, between a Volkswagen and a Corvette.
Oh, okay.
Anyway.
Drastic body modifications. Tell us what's been done to it.
Well, it's been sliced up like a piece of pie. It's been cut down the middle and narrowed. It's been chopped and channeled. It's everything is half crafted, the frame, everything, and it's got a 40 Ford front end with a tilt and suicide doors.
It has the look of a full custom from the 50s or 60s. Was that when it was built, or was that what was in mind?
It was built about 15 years ago by a guy by the name of Jerry Shirley, and he was a steel worker. He planned the whole thing, started out, and this came together like this.
It's small on the outside. Is it big on the inside?
About the size of a Corvette.
Okay.
About the same as getting in and out of one.
Okay. What's the running gear on it?
It's a 350 Chevy, 350 transmission, 8 or 9-inch rear end.
The reaction from people on this car, when you roll into a show where they haven't seen the car before, what do they do?
Well, they have to take a second look and come back and look. Some people like it, some people don't.
The people that don't like it, what's the problem?
They like muscle cars.
Yeah, well, this is, of course, maybe if you put them side by side with a muscle car and, pointed them straight ahead, and what would happen? Who would lose that one?
Oh, I don't know. Probably me. But it's cool looking anyway.
Traditional hot rods and custom cars, especially radical customs like this, they kind of went away for a long time. Now they're back with a vengeance. Any thought on how that's happened in the hobby, or the future of the hobby as far as those cars?
Well, the hobby has got room for a lot of cars. It's just what you feel comfortable with.
The customizing tip, somebody that's maybe has a stock 46 Ford or Merc sitting in their garage and they want to do something really radical, besides getting a second job and being able to pay for all this work, what's your advice to them?
Well, a lot of this stuff, if you can't do it yourself, have a lot of money to have it done. If you do get something like this done, make sure you want to drive it forever.
Is that the plan, drive this forever?
Probably so, but I had a 47 Ford before this one. I sold to buy this one, so cars come and go.
Yeah. You're just the caretaker, right?
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Well, Mike, thank you very much. This is a very beautiful, traditional, custom 46 Ford. It's a great-looking car.
Thank you a lot.
What a great time we've had here at Harnish Lincoln Mercury's Car Show in Puyallup, Washington. Wonderful people out here. Chris Brown, thank you very much. Larry Hansen, thank you for putting the show on. And thank you for watching every week. We really appreciate it. Until we see you again, bye-bye.